is way off. That should be on beat 3, I think. Yeah, that's off. That should be on beat 3. I'm just kind of talking to myself out loud whilst working on an original that I wrote and recorded for my band. And I had my lead guitarist come in the other day and put down a solo on this, and I'm just trying to get a few things in better timing. This may or may not work out well. That sounds much better. If anybody's got any comments, questions, and things of that nature, feel free to just ask, and if I can answer, I will. Or if you just want to say hi, this is totally impromptu and not a planned stream. I'm just finding something to do while the missus is out for a little bit. It's actually sounding pretty good there. I think I got those minor timing issues ironed out, and we'll see how the tapping part goes at the end here. Make a few more little cuts here. And I'm hoping the rest of this is already just sounding good. Let's try if I'm right about here. Sorry, I see the chat over there now. Goodness, I feel like I don't have a clue what I'm doing. It's so long since I've streamed. I'm also getting an error message from YouTube saying that I need to change my resolution. I'm streaming at 4K, which apparently is not supported for this configuration, whatever that means. Hopefully you guys can actually see things, and let me take a look and see what you guys are saying. Good afternoon or evening to Wayne and Tony and Joe. Let's see, what am I splicing? Oh, yeah, my lead guitarist, he did the leads on this a couple days ago, and I noticed that some of his performance just wasn't quite tight. I played all the other instruments on this because I don't know if you guys heard earlier, it's just something that I wrote for my band, and I just recorded everything myself because it's easier for me to visualize what the end product might sound like and then teach it to the guys and have them make modifications and make their parts their own. Then we can record it with them. But yeah, I'm cutting and slip editing his leads to better fit the timing. Let's see, are those 3 parts, different takes, different tracks? Okay, Joe, yeah, this is 3 different takes. Dalton is the lead guitarist's name is Dalton. He played through this 3 different times, and just for the sake of argument, we can go through and take a listen to each of the 3 takes. This may take me a second now that I think about it, but that's all right. I'll just go and switch all these to the, let me collapse that, that'll probably be easier. There we go. So here's his first take. I'm hoping you guys can hear that, but there's a lot of timing issues in that and also some missed notes and a bunch of noise. So let me grab all of these and switch to the next take. Here is take number 2. And it's kind of the same thing there. We've got some issues with timing and also with noise in the track. The third take was his best take, in my opinion. I think that was the one. I hope that's the one I was working on. I guess I can backtrack a little bit and take this back to where I was, because I don't honestly remember which take I was using. I think, yeah, it looks like I was using the third take. Hopefully. Okay, yeah, that's right. So let's go back and hear that in context and see what we've got so far. And if you guys would like a sneak peek of the song and would like to hear it from the beginning, I would be glad to play it. Just let me know. Actually sounds like that fits in there pretty good. Take a listen to these last few hits here. It's weird. This song, I actually wrote the primary riff for it probably a couple of years ago and just never actually finished doing anything with the song. And the band that I'm playing with currently, I play bass for them, and it's a cover band. We play mostly like classic rock, modern rock, alternative, and a little bit of R&B, some bluesy type stuff. And we've got our first proper original releasing at the end of this week, and I guess we're kind of doing a bit of a push to start writing more originals. And I've got a pretty good backlog of things to finish, so I figured I may as well donate one song to the cause and see what we can make of it. Let's take a look and see what Doom is saying here. And this may take me a second. I'm still trying to get used to these 4K screens, and I'm also wearing bifocals. So, how to make it so there are folders in the toolbar. For example, a folder on the effects toolbar. Toolbar opens. I am actually not sure. I mean, I think that it's possible through some different scripts. Like there is a thing called radial menus. Let me see if I can find it and see if it's not quite the same thing, but may be beneficial to you. And I'll stick it over on the screen here. Reaper Blog did a video, and this is a pretty old video, but you can create radial menus to where I think you can trigger them by maybe right-clicking, or it looks like you can bind it to certain key presses, and it may be kind of like what you're looking for, but as far as the actual toolbars in and of themselves, to my knowledge, you can't do subfolders in the toolbars. So you can just have a row of them, or you can open, let's see, there is a floating toolbar, if I can remember how to do it. I don't really use a whole lot of toolbars, and I kind of feel silly now because I can't seem to find the thing. There we go, toolbar Docker. You can create several different toolbars and put them in this Docker, which that may be kind of close to what you're looking for. That way you can have all of your different toolbars at your fingertips, and this is a floating, or you can dock it somewhere and have the different tabs at the bottom. That's probably about as close as you're going to get to having subfolders in your actual toolbars. Either that, or you may want to look into using that radial menu. I will post a link to John's tutorial about that. Maybe this will help. And like I said, other than just using possibly the radial menu, the only thing that I can think of right off the top of my head is the toolbar docker. I'm probably just the wrong person to ask about that because, I mean, as you can see, my toolbar is pretty limited. I've got a handful of things that I like to use that I've got bound to keyboard presses, and I use that a lot more than I use the actual toolbars up here. Matter of fact, I think about the only things up here that I actually use. I've got one that I use pretty frequently to toggle the visibility of my envelopes, however that word is said. I like to turn on and off the split on crossfade, or excuse me, crossfade on split. Gosh, I don't even remember what half these are. Set active take to default color. The regions clock, I use this a lot. My drums, which are behind me, you guys probably usually see them in my main videos. I use this regions clock, which what this does is whatever region the play cursor is going over, it tells me like how much time is left until the next section, and it gives me the name of the current section. This can be changed to show different parameters, like maybe beats and measures or something to that effect, but I just kind of watch it from across the room so I can see this little bar, and that helps me to keep track with where I am in a song. Now, granted, in a lot of cases, if I'm recording myself on the kit, I'll have my laptop over there, and I'm remoted into the computer so I can easily see Reaper, but this is also nice to have just from across the room for a quick visual reference of where I am on a song. I usually keep it on my opposite monitor there. Let's see, and I've got my, what do you call these? Time signature? No, not time signature, my grid settings. Yeah, I guess I use the things up top so little. I've got my fast edit and normal edit that I use for slip editing when I'm working on drums. And yeah, half the stuff I don't use. Let's take a listen to this from the beginning and see if there's anything else that I need. I know that I need to retake the guitars on this. My playing was pretty sloppy, so some of my stuff's out of time on this. See a little something there I want to fix. I think I want to fade that guitar out a bit more aggressively. On your crossfades, if you guys don't know, I mean, you can just grab the edge of an item at the top right or left corner to pull a crossfade. If you right click on the crossfade, you've got different types of, I'm sorry, I'm saying crossfade. This is not a crossfade, it's just a fade out. But you've got different curves that you can choose, but also within your curve, if you hold Alt on the keyboard and hover over the curve, you can see, well, maybe with this 4K screen, the cursor changes to a left and right arrow, and, whoops, let me actually get over the fade. There we go. Nope, that's not it. Why is this not working for me today? Well, I can't seem to target it. You're supposed to be able to change the curvature of the fade, but I guess I can't get it done. Hey Joe, thank you so much for purchasing the drum editing course. I hope that it helps. it has helped me. This is actually my drumming on this, and is my mic even on? Did I turn it back on after coughing? Yeah. And as you can see, I have edited my own drums because I'm far from perfect. Granted, I don't like perfect drums, but I do like for them to feel a bit better than how I actually played it. Wasn't too bad, but I like to think that I tightened them up a pretty good bit. Let's take a listen from the end of this chorus and see if the interlude, that guitar fades out better. I like that better. I ended up shortening this a bit. I think I want to try that some more. That is really bugging me that I can't seem to get my fade to work the way that... I hope I'm not getting my programs mixed up. I'll do that sometimes. Like I use DaVinci Resolve a lot, and I'll be trying to do something in Reaper that is a DaVinci Resolve feature, and vice versa. I was pretty sure that you could change the curvature of this thing. Now I gotta look it up. That's bothering me. Edit in, okay, it should be Alt left drag on an envelope segment, customize the curve shape. I wonder if I accidentally turned that feature off. Now I'm kind of curious to go look. See, this is the kind of stuff that happens when you just randomly do a stream with zero planning. Yeah, well, the right click, Wayne, what that'll do is just allow you to choose between some presets, but let's see, there is an option to literally just like change how aggressive that curve is. Like you can bend the Bezier, or however you say that word, curve. Item fade. Looks like maybe it changed. I guess the default possibly changed on it. Yeah, there it is. Adjust fade curve is apparently not selected anymore. Now I'm kind of curious. So let's see, adjust curve. I'll put that on Alt, which is what I was pretty sure it used to be. Yeah, there we go. And see, now I can change the I guess the slope of that curve. I guess that changed from the default at some point, and it's been so long since I've used it that it just didn't work. But now I know where it is. we've got all of the lyrics written for this, but have not well, I have recorded myself squawking the lyrics because the singer refused to do it during our writing session. I just wanted to document the idea, but I'll spare your ears on that. I heard a few things in the toms that I think I'd like to go back and correct. I think I had some weak hits on my rack tom at the turnaround of a chorus, so I'll have to find where it is. Right about there. Eric, thank you. Yeah, it's actually not a lot of guitars. I did a single guitar on the left and a single guitar on the right and one lead, so I've just got the 3 guitar tracks. In a lot of cases, I'll double track things, but I think since this was really just scratch tracks and a composition to make sure that I remembered what I was writing, I didn't really. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't feel like I went all out on this, but I'm really pleased with how it's sounding. I think these tom hits here are the ones that I want to turn up. As far as editing drums, like I've got my drums all grouped, and you can see where I've cut and slip edited for timing. Since I want to turn up just a couple of individual hits, I'm going to temporarily disable my grouping, which the default for that is Alt-Shift-G. That's G as in George or golf or whatever. Or you can just click the button up here to disable grouping. And now I'll go and take these tom hits here and turn them up. I think I've done these on a couple other spots, maybe another 3 dB, which sounds like a lot, but that should make that rack tom hit sound a bit more, oh gosh, what is the word in English? It should make it sound more consistent with the others. Maybe a little bit more. Wow, I really did not hit that tom very hard at all. That's much better. Re-enable my grouping. And I may have to fix that in a couple other spots. And I can actually see down here at the last chorus I had the same issue. So I'll go ahead and disable my grouping, just grab these 2 hits and turn it up a bit more. And see how that sounds. Just kind of making some adjustments on the bus compression for my guitars. I've got it chopping off a handful of dB just to kind of better level out the guitars, but I'm noticing that it's holding it a little bit too tightly, so I'm just trying to let it breathe and bounce and respond a bit more musically. It's a very subtle change, but I do have to say I'm kind of happy that I'm finally starting to hear things that people used to talk about. It's just weird watching other people's videos and them talking about these very minor changes that they make and being able to hear them. And after years of messing with this stuff, I feel that I'm finally able to hear them. I think probably what helped unlock it for me was, I think it was last year when I did the video series comparing a whole bunch of different compressors and EQs and things, and spending that much time and learning the differences of each one and just truly focusing on hearing what they're actually doing and learning my tools. I feel like that really helped me a lot with, with understanding the tools for one, and just better being able to hear those minute differences. I like that sound effect there. I very seldom, if ever, do anything with MIDI because I kind of don't know much of anything about it, just enough to be dangerous. But I use this sample tank to put together some kind of noise. I don't even know what to call it, but it just sounds kind of like a little bit of an explosion with some wind. And I think I want a little bit more of that there in that break. Maybe a little more wind and a little less of this other effect. Like these 3D cabinets that Audio Assault has added in their more recent updates to their guitar amps. I was just playing around with this condenser mic on this particular cab and moving it a little bit further away from the center of the cone there and adding a little bit more resonance into the lead tone. It was a little bit harsh in the top end, and I feel like just moving that microphone has made a tremendous difference in it. What's up, Chris? Right, well, gosh, that's awkward. I guess I actually accomplished what I set out to do. I probably didn't think that it was going to be this quick to fix that little piece. Again, if anybody's got any questions or anything, feel free to ask, and I will do my best to answer, or if nothing else, at least refer you to somebody who's got the right answer. I think I'd like to play through this again and listen for any other notes I may need to make. I definitely need to go back and retrack the rhythm guitars on the right side because my timing is not quite on top of the beat. What amount of low end do I cut in the rhythm? I don't have a ready-made answer for that. It really just depends on. I know that people get sick of hearing things like this, but I just cut however much is needed. In this case, if I look at the individual guitars, let's see. I have nothing on the high pass on that one, and nothing on the high pass on this one, just from the cab itself. Looks like I'm not running anything in. I ran these pretty bone dry and just did it the old-fashioned way and dialed in my tone with the actual guitar amp. I did do a little bit of a resonance cut, and I did most of my EQ work on the guitars at the bus level instead of directly on each one. Let's see, understand for the genre. Okay, Eric's asking, oh, I've missed a handful of messages here. Let's see here. What is up, Andy? And do I EQ my reverb? In a lot of cases, yes. I'm actually not using any on this at the moment. I've got a little bit on the lead, and I've not EQ'd that. And this other reverb over here is just something that I added. Excuse me. I've got my snare routed to this, and I've EQ'd that a little bit. But other than that, it's just the natural sound of things. I've got my, like the drums, I'll let you hear my room mics here. This room is pretty large. It's about 14-foot ceilings, I think, and it's about 625 square feet. So here's what my drum room mic sounds like by itself. Turn this up a minute. Now, I don't want to hear anything about me accidentally eating the rims on the tom on that last fill. Let's see, Chris, back to your question. On the actual bus for the guitars, it looks like I've got a high-pass filter around about 100. I think I tend to end up doing anywhere from 100, and in some extreme cases, depending on the tuning of the guitar, I may go into the 200 to 250 range. I really just want to make sure to carve out enough room for the bass to shine in the lower frequencies. So I play it by ear, but I would say 100 is usually my starting point. I was also playing with the idea of some keys on here, which I'm trying to force myself to start using MIDI and virtual instruments a little bit just to add some life to things. And that's what actually led to me making up this. Whoops, helps if I take it out of solo. Making up that sound. So I'm starting to see some possibilities of using more modern conveniences, I guess. I've got a real old school approach to just about everything that I do on here. And it's taken me a while to embrace some of this, I say newer tech, but it's not really that new. MIDI and virtual instruments have been around for a long time. I just haven't used them much. But yeah, I'm playing with the idea of adding some keys here in this first verse that may or may not stay. They're kind of buried in the mix right now, but I've just padded some chords on it. And what I did to make those chords, I mean, I'm not necessarily a classically trained musician. I am on the trombone, but that doesn't really matter with it being a monophonic instrument. So I just kind of hear the stuff in my head and try my best to figure it out. What I did to get these laid out, since I don't actually play keys, is I used Chord Gun. That's a script that you can install from Repack. And this song is in the key of B minor, so I was able to put in B natural minor as my key, and I can press my numbers 1 through 7 to hear these different chords if I arm the track. Let me get that track armed. Why is this not working? There we go. I think I just didn't have the window focused. And I had to bring up the manual for this the other day because I couldn't remember how to do the different inversions and stuff. But I guess it's easier just to click the chord names here. But the way this works is you can set your grid to whatever you want this to insert. And once I find the chord that I want, I can shift click it to add it into the MIDI editor as a step sequencer. I made a handful of mistakes in doing that, so it took me a little bit of back and forth, but I think this will be a powerful tool in the future for using more virtual instruments and helping me to get the sounds in my head into the computer, since I can't play the keyboard. But it was a lot faster than trying to draw all this stuff out in MIDI. Oberhausen. I've got that, and I don't think I've ever even used it. Let's see what it sounds like. I've got a handful of these plugins that I just haven't touched. So today's the day. Let's see what it sounds like. This is the slow loading plugin alliance issue that I had whined about. You saw how long that took. They have not even activated this yet. Let's go ahead and activate it. Okay, so that's activated. Let me turn off my other one, and let's see what this guy sounds like. I don't like that. Let's do this the old-fashioned way and put on some kind of a preset, because I do not know anything about synthesizers. I've been talking with IDDQD Sound, or Aria, or whatever he's going by today, for a bit, and a couple of other guys from Discord. I would love to have a live stream with somebody showing me more stuff about synths and virtual instruments. I think that'd be kind of cool. All right, got that turned back on. Let's see what this sounds like. Now, I had said earlier that I don't use a lot of the stuff up here in my toolbar, but I do recall making this one appear note off, which is also bound to F3. That will instantly stop any of these MIDI sounds that like to trail on. I don't know if that was a default for it or not, but in the actions list, if you need something like this, if you search for note off, there is a send all notes off, and I can't read, oh my gosh. Send all notes off and all sounds off to all MIDI outputs and plugins. So if anything like that wants to keep droning on, I am definitely able to stop it in its tracks, which is pretty helpful. Let's try some more of these piano sounds. Unicorn? That's interesting. I wonder, do all of these just go on forever? Is there something in here? There's probably... Oh, wait, there we go. Sustain. Okay, these decays were set. That's interesting. These decays are not that high. There's probably some other control in here that I'm just not aware of. I'll just send the note off command. Hey, Mage. Been a while, man. Yeah, that's weird. That just keeps on going. How do you stop these things? I probably should play with this on my own time instead of you guys watching me fumble through it. Okay, that one's interesting. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to end up using that one today. I definitely would like to play with it. I've got another synth from Plugin Alliance. I don't remember what it's called. Oh, Neuphonium, I think it is. And I've got Vital as well, but I've just really never spent the time to learn them. You're seeing the Plugin Alliance loading bug once again here. You notice that anytime I click one of those, it's just a good 3 to 5 seconds for anything to happen. Do all synthesizers just start with that same annoying buzzing sound? That's interesting. This stuff is, let's see what's up. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to spend a lot of time reading a manual for these. Problem is, I'm still going through the DaVinci Resolve manual right now, and it's about 4,800 pages. I'm trying to get my certifications in some of those modules. Well, we've come this far. Let me take a look at Vital. I know a lot of guys on the forum talk about that. Yep, and that one started with the same annoying buzzing sound. I think you're right, like all of them do that. This has an awful lot of presets, which that's handy for those of us who know nothing about synthesizers. Let's try this. That's kind of nice. Okay, so assuming I like that sound, which I do, now how do you make it not go on all day? Let's see, sustain is way up. And it had a 7-second decay. Let's try that. Okay, at least I feel like I'm understanding this one a bit. Let's drop the sustain some more. I really like the visualization it has up here too. That helps a lot to better understand what this stuff is doing, or at least I halfway understand it. Oh, it's actually still going. That's crazy. Yeah, I think I'm going to back out of this and get back to what I know for the time being. I'll go ahead and turn Sample Tank back on and get my silly piano in. Yeah, I think that little bit of piano just mixed in gently sounds pretty cool. It does clash a little bit because of some rhythmic issues and timing stuff. I don't know if it'll stay in the final version or not. Let's see what other problems we can find with this song. I like the way that this is sounding more. Alright, so Cosmic is asking, any idea why Reaper becomes non-responsive after opening a project? For me, Reaper is not necessarily non-responsive until a certain plugin is introduced. I can definitely make it stall by loading a plugin from Plugin Alliance, usually by several seconds per instance of the plugin that's loaded, and also when loading certain virtual instruments, because like a lot of virtual instruments may have to load a lot of sample data into memory. And I think that a lot of what we're seeing with some performance issues as of late is, what is the word? My English is really escaping me today. What is it called? Copyright protection, I think, or anti-piracy measures. In a lot of cases, when you open Reaper, if you look at the boot splash, assuming you don't have it disabled, you'll see it stalling on certain plugins. Like if I save this project and I'll close and reopen it, let me get my audio interface junk out of the way and some of this other stuff that doesn't matter. And reopen that same project. And if we watch this here, you can see it stalled right there on SSL 4000G and SSL 4000G again and Sample Tank. All the other plugins loaded near instantly, but a couple of plugins from Plugin Alliance and Sample Tank hung up a little bit. See, Ryan says, and I'm sorry for all this bobbing and weaving I'm doing. I'm trying to look through my boom arm and also look through the right part of these bifocal lenses. I have issues with save projects not allowing me to allow for inputs. Let's see, I'll do this weird thing where it decides it doesn't want to allow me to change input to my device. Ryan, I think that your issue may be best resolved in the Discord channel. That way we can actually get some screenshots and see a little bit more about some of your projects. I'm grabbing a link, and I'm not sure if you're already in there, but give me just a second to get a link posted here. So if you are not on the Discord server, whoops, that's the wrong button. Let's try that again. There's a link for the Discord server, and my whole purpose in starting that was just to give us, and us meaning myself and some other friends of mine that run YouTube channels that are specific to Reaper use, to give us a better platform to better engage with our viewers. That way, like on YouTube, you can leave comments, you can talk in the live chats, but you can't show screenshots or share your screen, any videos or anything like that. And it's difficult to troubleshoot something like that over text. If you're using Windows, my first thought is that there may be a sample rate issue. What's the word I'm looking for? There may be a sample rate conflict between Reaper and the device. There may be a driver issue, like if you're using Audio for All instead of a dedicated driver for your interface, that can cause some issues as well. We've really got a lot of options as to why it wouldn't allow you. So like if I take a look at my device settings, I'm set for ASIO or ACO or however it's said, and I'm using the dedicated driver for my studio capture interface, and I can change those things without any problem. But something else that I like to do in Windows is I make sure that Windows in and of itself is set to the same sample rate. Like I've got Windows set to run at 48K. I've got Reaper set to run at 48K, and of course my interface is set at 48K. Basically, I've just got everything running the same thing, so no matter what day I open it, I know that my settings are correct. It's hard to make that one make sense too. I think I'm just having trouble gathering my thoughts, but all that said, when you have time, just hop into the Discord server. There is a room in there called General Reaper Help, and there's also just a general chat. Either of those sections is fine, and I or some of the other guys should be able to help you to get that figured out. I think it's just an issue of getting some screenshots and a little bit more information. Oh, that's weird. So you open a new project and it works, but is this issue only with your old projects? Because that's bizarre. This delay is really getting me. I think you're probably hearing me like later, which is throwing the conversation off a bit. I don't know that there's anything else in here that I need to fix as far as the song, other than the timing. I guess I could grab my guitar and try to fix this timing stuff. Can't continue the project. Yeah, that is definitely bizarre. I guess I would be curious to see if the problem follows the project. I doubt that it does, just because like I can take a project from my computer and take it to, say, my church where they use Reaper for the services there, and it runs through an X32, and Reaper doesn't care what interface is hooked up. It just tends to work. So I'd be very curious to like maybe take more of a look at the system itself and see if there's some settings. That's a lot of S's. See if there's some settings somewhere that need to be tweaked, possibly in the driver for your interface. I don't think I've got much of anything else to show today. I've finished what I wanted to do with those guitars there. So I think I'll probably start wrapping this up soon. Does anybody else have any questions or comments or anything that you'd like to see? I will take a moment to promote my band's new single that's supposed to be coming out. What is today? It should be coming out this Friday on the 27th. And if you'd like to hear some of my mixing work, I invite you to check it out. I'll post a link over in the description, or what do you call this thing? Over in the chat session here. This particular song I didn't write, I just tracked and mixed it, but there's a link for it there in chat if anybody wants to check it out. And the one that you heard here, this will be our next release once we get vocals tracked and get some things cleaned up. Let's have a quick discussion about ethics. I'm kind of curious to get your take on a topic. Everything that's in this, with the exception of that lead guitar that you heard, was performed by me. I do have bandmates who are capable of playing, and we've had the discussion amongst ourselves but haven't come up with a good answer yet. Should we just get the vocals tracked, get this mixed, and be done with it? Or should I like go and retrack everything and let each member perform their own parts? It's a weird question, because it's like part of me really wants to have each person playing their own parts, and that would be the best thing to do in my mind because we're friends. But from a time and money standpoint, it's already done and it sounds good, and I know they can play it. So what's a guy to do? Take a listen to that chorus and bridge one more time, and I'll just wait to see if anybody's got any more questions or comments there. Yeah, that's I thought about that as well. I mean, the song, I just finished writing it last weekend, and we got together yesterday to like I passed out my rough sketch to everybody to listen to, with the intention of us coming in yesterday and having everybody learn the song and making whatever modifications that they want. We'll see you, Wayne. Thanks for stopping by, man. And everybody picked it up really well. I think my only concern is there's at least one guy in the group that doesn't do well with recording. He just kind of clams up and doesn't handle, ends up having some timing issues. I guess it wouldn't hurt to try. I'm just trying to find the path of least resistance, and I think if nobody's upset with the idea, I don't have a problem with just recording the vocals and releasing it. But on the flip side, if people want to actually track their own parts, I welcome that too, so long as it's not a tremendous drain on time for me. So we've only got so many hours in a day. Get one more pass through this chorus. I see a question there from Maple Fox. I've got to find a better way to see this stuff. What do you use to route Reaper to OBS? Well, let's take a look. Oh wait, this isn't a live. Wait, never mind. I don't remember what I was thinking there. Let's see, where is my OBS? Here is my OBS, and we have entered the matrix over here. But in my monitor effects here, let me get rid of OBS for a second. In monitor effects, I've got Restream, and it's set for sending audio via local broadcast. In OBS, I've got this audio, what do you call it? Audio input device. I get these backwards with the audio input or audio output, but this one that says Restream, I guess it's an audio input since it's got the picture of a microphone. And I've got that tied to a virtual device which comes from No Machine. No Machine is an application for remoting into a computer, and that's what I use when I'm recording from my drums. I take my laptop back there and remote into my desktop so I can fully control the computer from over there. You can use any input that you want for the device, but if you use one that has actual audio passing over it, I would recommend adding filters to it, like 3 different gain plugins, just the ones in OBS, and dropping them down to like -20 on each one, just to make sure you don't actually have any other sounds coming through. Once you've got that done, then you can go to, let me see if I can find filters here. It's been a while since I set this up. On filters, I added Restream, and you can see that it's receiving. So anything that sends from here will receive in here. You can also use Reroute. Now, one caveat, Restream, you have to have the standalone plugins for replugs, and those are not available for Mac. So this is a Windows only. Let me see if I can find that thing real quick. And these are quite outdated, but if you go to the Reaper site, it's reaper.fm/replugs. You can download a standalone version of the Reaper, like the stock Reaper plugins, and that will install them as VSTs so that they're available to other applications, and that's how I'm able to load it into OBS. Let's see, Nathan. Sorry, Nathan, you're asking about buffer size. Was this a question for OBS or for my audio interface? If you're asking about my audio interface, I gotta go look. I have a tendency to change it sometimes. I guess I could just look up there. Yeah, I've got it set currently for 128 samples, which I can take it down even lower without any clicks or pops, but I find this to be a little bit of a sweet spot for me. I love this interface, by the way. I'm seriously considering getting a second one. It's got 12 XLRs and 4 line ins, so I keep my drums mic'd up full time behind me there, but it sure would be nice to have another 12 XLRs for no reason. Now let me bring OBS back up and move it to the other screen and see if I broke my sound feed or not. Sometimes it glitches if I mess with that while I'm using it. I think I want to reduce the lead track in that chorus just a touch. So the way that I'm doing that is I've got a volume envelope here, and I double-clicked my marker here at the chorus, and you can see I've got another marker here for the bridge, which is next, and if I double-click that marker, it'll automatically grab that time selection. Hello, Martin from Argentina. That is a long ways from here. But with this time selection made, I can hold Control and Shift on my keyboard and grab this line on the envelope, and it'll just move inside of that time selection. So I think I just want to reduce that. Let me actually back that up because I lost track of where I was. Oh, no, that's the delay. I don't want to mess with that. I need to get a volume envelope on that. Probably helps if I'm on the right track. No, actually, that's right. I did want to do that on the lead, so I need to add a volume envelope there, which I've got now. I just pressed V as in Victor to add the volume envelope there. And now I can move that down and maybe just reduce it about 1.5 decibels or so. Let's see how that sounds. up just a little bit. Maybe just 1 dB or so. I'm having some serious trouble moving that with any fine level of precision. Nathan, that's really kind of my take on it as well. The general consensus yesterday was they don't really care because it's that much closer to being ready for release, which I agree with that. What we're trying to do is to not really do an album per se, but to get a new release out every, at least one new release every 6 to 8 weeks or so, which means we're really going to need to do a focus on writing. We're pretty busy this year, like with a show dang near every weekend of the year, and we got that busy from doing covers because I guess that's just how the music scene is around here. You're not really going to get a lot of gigs unless you're playing covers at bars and things like that. But now that we've got some attention, we want to start writing and presenting more originals and start to kind of turn it around a bit to where we're doing a lot more originals than covers over time. It's a bit of a slow game, but it's a necessary evil, and we don't want to completely alienate the audience that we have, which is why we're doing it slowly. I like that little bit of a reduction in the leads there, so I'm going to go back and replicate that same thing over each of the choruses. I guess I could have done this with an automation item, but I just have 3 places to do it, so I just match that same movement. Like the sound of this particular channel strip. It has some interesting crunchy saturation to it. Just trying to push it ever so slightly harder. right, folks. I guess that's about all I've got for today. It is about dinner time for me. So thank you all for hanging out. Let's do this again sometimes. Maybe I'll start to do more just impromptu random live streams as I'm working on stuff and see who shows up, and maybe even have some planned ones in the future as well. Once again, thank you guys for coming to hang out. Hope you guys have a great night, and we'll catch you later.